Still watching Analyst Hangout. So let's get into another conversation now. Top Nigerian bank group Guaranty Trust Holding Company has announced plans to slow down on lending and bond trading in Ghana following a $77 million. That's about 35.6 billion naira impairment in its West African subsidiary after losing billions in country's debt crisis. The banking group said that it will instead focus its activities on Nigeria and other high-yielding African markets to boost lending by about 15% in 2023. This is according to the group chief executive officer of Guaranty Trust Holding Company, Segun Agbaje, at an investor conference call in Lagos, where he noted that the decision will help the financial institution increase a 2022 profit before tax of 214.2 billion naira by 31%. Now, the move by the Ghanaian to restructure most of its public debt, estimated at $49 billion, is putting a lot of pressure on GTB and other Nigerian banks, as an analysis of the 2022 full-year financial statement showed that they incurred impairment losses running into billions of naira in 2022. So let's get talking now. Well, let's start from Olaidebanu. Are you there? So the move by the Ghanaian government to restructure most of its public debt, which is estimated at $49 billion, that's about 576 billion CDs, is putting a lot of pressure on the Nigerian bank. So talk to us, what does this mean for the company? What's the implication of this for the banks, particularly GTCO?
What this means is that there will be a kind of slow investment from their own side to the type of security they invest into. And you know, all these
Hello,
Mr. Generally... Hello, can you hear me?
Oh, okay. We were losing connection. I mean, it was muffled. The audio was not clear earlier. But continue, please. Go ahead.
Okay, so we begin to see a kind of slow investment in their own side of in the banking side of action in terms of investing in the government securities. You know, generally where the companies actually made money is that, okay, it's receiving the depositors' money and to invest in different forms of investment. And because GTCO and other banks in Nigeria have invested in the Ghana bonds, so to say, and because of the issues the Ghana government is having on their bond repayments, and over the past few months they've been unable to pay coupon on majority of the on their bonds. So that is definitely affecting the banking returns, and because of that we see the reason why why those banks took much of impairment. Many of them took over 100% year-on-year impairment on their books. And as a result of that, the earnings is definitely being much of lower, though they have much of revenue, but the profit much of lower. So the banking generally they've definitely reduced their investment. And looking at the government and the Ghana government, Ghana inflation rate about 49%, so to say, if the bank continues to lend that money to investors, or we call it to borrowers in the Ghana environment, they begin to see a kind of low repayment from their own end, and they will still continue to incur more of impairment and another side of it. So the best thing to do is to slow down investment from their own side. Okay,
Ambrose, talk to us. The bond market is supposed to be a fixed market, and the interest is supposed to be fixed. So why are we having this?
No, let's put it this way. But first of all, let me say that Nigerian banks are really resilient in terms of managing crisis. And you ask the question that bond is supposed to be the freest.
Exactly.
It
should be a safest investment for investors.
No, I would say that in any way I am that no investment without risk. You might see that risk in bond is minimal, but as risk is equity also in bond, you can see that what has happened there. For me, every investor should know your capacity of your tolerance for risk. For the banks, they see that banks have the volume to invest in these government bonds. like we just said, on quote, that government bond is more secure. Today in Nigeria, people say, oh, when you buy federal government bond, it's secure. We agree. But when the same thing that happened in Ghana happened in Nigeria, it becomes a problem. We pray that it won't happen in Nigeria. But the banks were able to manage it. Don't forget, it's not the first time Nigerians are running into bad water. Banks are running into bad water. Don't forget that when the oil price crashed, most of the banks were also hit with non-performing loans. This is what we're just that impairment they are doing. It's not the first time they are making provision. They have learned from it when the oil energy sector also crashed. They also made impairment. That means our banks are becoming more resilient and they understand more good risk management strategy they have used. That's why all of them were able to take charge of what has happened. It didn't affect them much. They have continued in their new financial year. Why? Because the profit they have made automatically is to cover it. That means subsequently, when this Ghana start paying back their interest, it will now come back to the banks as profit. But the good that they have made provision, it affected us investors, but the good that also they didn't go that direction that because they made provision for bad loan, start cutting investors their payouts. Because most of them, their earnings were strong enough to pay out. It's in the bank. That's why they saw a slowdown to 6 naira 40 kobo in their earnings. They paid final of 3 naira 20 kobo. The same thing GDP like but like what my colleague said, that it's for them to slow down in that environment. And you look outside where they see that the government has more power to service their debt. No country in the world is living without debt. It is when servicing or your plan to pay is not there. It's not that Ghana run into a bad water. That's why we're seeing and our banks have taken charge to make sure they make provision for it. For investors, this is not stem panic, but all the banks also go to them, go and look at the banks not performing loan for this financial year. Most of them are still below the CBN threshold of 5%. No, I can give it to Access Bank. I saw at 3.9. Below, that means they are no problem. It's still in control. They are still under. That means they are still putting it in. For me, this will not save money, but the banks will look outside Ghana, and also once they make provision now, once Ghana start paying, automatically it will reflect as earnings for them. Also, like I said, government should think of where they can make money, and don't forget that when there is also this increasing interest rate, if you continue, the banks will. But as we are seeing slow down in some African countries, I would say they say that it's only Nigeria and Egypt who are seeing that inflation is still on the rise. For other African countries, we are seeing a slowdown. That automatically we might see also slow down in rate in those countries. While Nigeria and Egypt, as I said, will continue to hike. I tell you, CBN, the next step is because of this inflation moving to 22.04, they might likely also to increase rate in meeting. For me, these are things that investors look at if they have made provision for the last financial year. Especially that this year we should see less provision and that also support their earnings.
Let me go to Banu. Olade, it talked was 36.6 billion naira. It's not small amount of money. How significantly do you think this will impact on the company's bottom line? Hello, Banu. I wanted you to, react to that. Whether this was.
Hello, can you hear me now?
Okay, yeah. Did you hear my last question?
I didn't get the question at all.
Okay, I said the company lost about 77 million naira, million US dollars. That's about 35.6 billion naira Nigerian money in terms of value. So I was asking you, how significantly will this loss impact on the company's bottom line?
Yeah, it definitely impacted on it, but
oh dear, I guess internet.
Can you hear?
Okay, please go ahead. Can you hear me, Olade? Oh dear. Okay, maybe you should address that. Do you think it will? Okay, all right, you're back now. So talk to us now. Go ahead.
Yeah. So what is that they took nearly 100% of their investment in the Ghana bond. So it definitely impacted on from their revenue, and it took down much of their bottom line. And as my colleague said in the studio, this year we are not expecting that much of impairment taken. So this year we are expecting much of positive bottom line.
Okay. It's all right. Ambrose, would you like to react to that so that I can go to the next?
No, I just said it. I believe that the banks have done the good thing by making provision. Once they start coming back, it's going to impact their bottom line. And this year also, they should also increase their risk management. I think the banks will say kudos to them in terms of risk management. They should do more on that. For the banks, despite the provision, all the banks do their payout for 2022. It says that the banks are becoming stronger. And don't forget that anywhere in the world, dividend payout for banking sector is another way of see whether the bank is healthy or not. Now that the we saw a slide down in their profit after tax. but their gross earnings were still in green, more than 2 digits, more than inflation figure. For me, it's a good one for our banks. But like this year, that the Q1 are giving us insight where they are going. If they sustain the tempo we're seeing in the Q1, that would be good year for them. Yeah.
Okay.